When my daughter Lucy was born, God decided to give her a lot of hair. Take a look. So whenever I would bring Lucy into a grocery store, into church, eyes would just boom, be on her. They would just look at her. They would say, "Oh my goodness, look at your baby. I can't believe it. Look at that hair." She was like a magnet. Our eyes were on her. And you know what? For parents in your church, for you and your own family, when you had a baby, rightfully so. Eyes on that baby. You're wondering, is the baby, crying? What does the baby need? Is the baby making a noise? Does the baby need to be changed? Does the baby need to go to sleep? Is the baby, dry? Do I need to change its diaper? So we're thinking about this baby all the time. You walk away a few steps. You think, oh wait, where's the baby? Gotta have the baby in sight. Gotta bring the baby with me. Well, my friends, we have a new baby in our church today, in our family today, and it's not the little baby Lucy. It's this thing. It is the baby phone, the digital baby. And with this digital baby, we say, oh, wait, where's the baby? Is the baby close by? Because if you go too far away from the baby, you're like, whoa, gotta get the baby, gotta go back to the baby. You want to know, is my baby dressed? And especially the ladies, we like to dress our babies in different little outfits. Is my baby, does it have food? Does it have enough power? Oh, did my baby say something? Let me take a look. Oh, let me cuddle my baby, right? We have a digital baby. And it is our job as the parents to help our children manage this digital baby when they get it into their lives by modeling what does this look like, to treat this in the proper way and not really like a baby, and help the people in our church as well. Because as well as I do, this is a huge problem that we're spending way too much time with our digital babies and not enough time with our real babies. I'm going to be sharing principles from my book, Screen Kids, co-authored with Dr. Gary Chapman, and also the companion book, Grandparenting Screen Kids. So I'm going to give you a few statements, and I want you to think, would you or the people in your church identify with these statements, the parents in your church? I would feel uncomfortable without constant access to information through my smartphone. I would be annoyed if I could not look information up on my smartphone when I wanted to. If I did not have my smartphone with me, I would feel anxious because I could not instantly communicate with my family or friends. I would feel weird because I wouldn't know what to do. If you can identify with these statements, you have a phobia that's called nomophobia. Have you heard of it? It is the fear of being without your mobile phone. And at Iowa State University, those researchers found that 58% of men had nomophobia and 47% of women have nomophobia. And I would say to ourselves and to the families that we minister to, let's not worry about nomophobia. Don't be worried about the fear of not having your cell phone. Be afraid of family phobia. In other words, I don't have a family anymore because when I look for my family, it's like, the house is so quiet. Where are they all? Oh, look, mom's over here with her device. Dad's over here with his device. Child 1 is playing video games. Child 2 is on Instagram, and child 3 is watching YouTube. It's like, that's what we need to be afraid of. No more family phobia, because the cell phone has taken too high of a priority. And that's really what our time together is about, to be real about technology. It has good uses, it has bad uses. But for many of the families that we minister to, including our own, it is becoming too great of an idol. It has too strong of a hold. It taps into the power of goal setting. We love to set goals. We love to look at our watches and know how many steps we've taken. We love to get into that video game and say we went one level higher. We love to go on social media and say, oh, I got 5 more whatever likes or followers than from yesterday. We love that. And so it taps into our need to set goals and reach goals and move forward. But think of this for our children. What kinds of goals are they meeting? They're meeting video game goals. They're meeting Instagram follower goals. Not how many real friends can I minister to in real life, which really is just a handful that you need and want, but instead, how many followers? I mean, this is so different, right? Instead of friendships, you're looking for followers. And these are false goals. It would be a much better goal for a 12-year-old to say, Who can I really be friends with this year and form a great, loyal, deep, positive friendship? How can I encourage her? How can I champion her? How can I be there for her? Wouldn't that be a much more beautiful goal than, hey, maybe I can get 100 more followers? And yet, what are our kids doing? They're having these false goals. The CDC reports that kids 8 to 10 are spending 6 hours a day in amusing digital entertainment. So this is not counting school. 11 to 14-year-olds are spending 9 hours, and 15 to 17-year-olds are spending 7.5 hours. That, my friends, is a lot of time. John Hopkins reports from 2004 to 2014, in that decade, depression grew in teens by 37%. What happened in those 10 years? We got phones. We got social media. We got a lot more wired than we had been in the past. And we see depression just, 37%. Do you know that when they look at brain scans of kids who play 20 hours a week video games versus kids who are addicted to cocaine, to drugs, their brain scans look exactly the same. In the brain, those same pleasure centers are lighting up, that same addiction of wanting to have it, need it every day, of being secretive about using it, about sacrificing other things so they can get to it. All those things exist. And so you need to have kind of that fear in you as a parent and as a leader in your church to instill in the families around you that this is serious, that this isn't just for the fringe that are going to go crazy, but that there is a real risk. Here's how Dr. Victoria Dunkley talks about it. Screen time actually is very much like a drug. In fact, it's a stimulant, not unlike caffeine or nicotine or even cocaine. So it raises arousal levels. It changes brain chemistry. And Dr. Dunkley has been studying addiction. That is her specialty. So one way you can think about it for yourself and also for the families in your church is you can tell them, okay, think of it this way. Your child could be casual, at risk, or addicted. What do I mean by that? A casual player, they can play a game for over the weekend with dad and then leave it for a week, never speak of it, no problem. Don't play it for 2 weeks, pick it up again, play for half an hour, walk away. That's a casual user. That could be the same with social media, that they can use it, leave it for a week, no big deal, casual. You're probably okay. And remember, all your kids are going to be different. So one kid might be able to handle it, another kid can't. So you can't do it by age. You can't say, oh, everyone's 13. This is what everyone gets, because everybody's different. You got to watch them. So casual. And then there's the at-risk player. This is the player that's like, okay, they get to play on the weekends, but every day they're asking, can I play that video game? Every day they're asking, can I get back on that social media platform? Every day they're asking this, and they are at risk because this is something tempting, tantalizing. They want this. And then, of course, your addicted player, this is the one that they can't go for a day or two without getting to their game, without getting to their social media. If you went camping and there was no Wi-Fi for 3 days, this would be an issue. They're not getting their schoolwork done. They're ignoring other things they used to love because now they want to do the game or the be on the phone instead. This is your addicted. So you can look at the spectrum. Is my child casual, at risk, addicted? And as they move through that cycle, as you see, oh, they're addicted, then you know, okay, we've got to do something. There's got to be an intervention. There's got to be a change or restart button, or else my child is just going to get deeper and deeper in this addiction. Now, before we go any further, there's something I want to differentiate, and it's what I call digital candy versus digital vegetables. This works just like it does in nutrition. You don't have to worry, is my child eating too much broccoli? I wonder. You have to force feed your child to eat broccoli. And it's the same thing with a digital vegetable. It's like when we did online school, none of us wondered, oh my goodness, is my child going to be addicted to Google Classroom? Is this going to be one of the byproducts that in the middle of the night, I'm going to wake up and my child is going to be with their computer under the blanket doing calculus, It's like, we know that's not going to happen. So your digital vegetables are things like learning a new language online, or Skyping grandma, or listening to a sermon. These are digital vegetables. Your kids never get in trouble for using them. Digital candy, you know what that is. That's all the stuff they do get in trouble for using. That's your YouTube videos. That's your music videos. That's your video games, your social media, digital candy. This is something you never have to tell your kids to do. They just kind of go do it by themselves. And so if you can teach your kids from a young age, and even your teenagers, hey, hey, what are you guys doing? Are you doing digital vegetables or digital candy? Kind of helps them understand there is a difference. The content matters. And there is addictive content versus if you're watching lectures on YouTube, that's not addictive. Like you are making yourself watch that to learn. And so in the same way, I love M&Ms. Like you don't have to tell yourself to eat candy, right? And this is a large bag of M&Ms that I happen to eat all by myself. I won't tell you how long it took me to eat it. But if I took this bag and a full bag and I left it by my desk, and that was where it sat. And I told myself, Arlene, you're a strong Christian, strong believer. You're just going to eat 10 of those a day because you have self-control. Could I eat 10 M&Ms a day? No, confession, I could not because it's too tempting, right? I'd need to put that away in order to have any kind of success. And when we give a child a remote control, our phone, a tablet, we're kind of like, here's the bag of M&Ms, child of mine. And I tell you what, be a good girl and just eat 10. And your child, the kids in your church teach their parents, they're not going to be able to handle it. They just can't. And so it's our job to keep this candy, the digital candy, that we can't just hand it to them and say, hey, just stay on for half an hour. Because they can't. They just can't. And it's our job as a parent to put this way on the top shelf so they can't reach it. And so when we say, okay, you can have a half an hour of digital candy, it really is a half an hour of digital candy. And I suggest this like it's a DVD player because that has a beginning and an end, and it doesn't keep going, and you know exactly what your child is watching. So here's your digital candy. A little candy's kind of fun, but boom, back on the top shelf, you can't reach it. And kids, they cannot self-regulate that. You have to be the one to help them. And guess what? If we struggle with digital candy, we're going to pass that on to our kids because you cannot impart what you do not possess. You know, being a parent, being a leader in your church, it's a call to say, let me get my act together so that I'm not munching on this all day, literally, and the digital candy kind. So I'm not munching on this all day so I can be an example to my children. And it's a call for us to clean up our act with our devices so that we can model that, a healthy digital relationship, so we can model that to our kids. You know, they did a survey of 6,000 kids from all around the world, and they found that 54% of the kids reported that their parents check their phones too often. 36% of kids said that their parents' worst habit was getting distracted by their phones in the midst of a conversation. And Brazil reported being the unhappiest, as 87% of their kids said their parents use their phones too much. So I want you to understand, I use technology, so I get it. So when you're doing your work from home and you're on the computer, you can tell your kids, I'm doing digital vegetables. And then it kind of keeps you accountable. So if they come by and you're looking at shoes online, they're like, are those your digital vegetables, Mom? So it keeps you accountable. But I remember when I was writing books, so these books, Screen Kids, Grandparenting Screen Kids, I'm not writing these on papyrus leaves. I'm staring at a computer and I'm writing. And I remember my daughter, Lucy, with the big hair, now she's 12. And she'd come in and she'd go, oh, Mom, that's so funny. You're talking about not using a screen and you're on your computer. That's so funny. And what I found was there was something really simple that I could do when I was working and my child came in the room that would communicate to them, you're more important than this work. And I'm not addicted to this device. I'm just doing my work. And it was simply called the pivot. And here's what it looks like. If you're at home and you're looking at your phone and you're doing something, or maybe you're on, you're working and you're looking down, when you hear a human being enter your airspace, what you do is you pivot to them. Hey, How's it going? How was your day at school? Oh, I've got about 1 hour more of work to do, and then we'll spend the evening together. Okay. All right, great. And then you go back to your thing. You pivot. Because when you pivot away from your device, you tell your child, you are important to me. This is so important to teach to all your volunteers, that if they're on their phone and a child comes to them and asks them a question, they don't answer it like this. Oh yeah, we're going to start in 5 minutes. No, you pivot away from your device. You look at the child and you put your phone down and you say, we're going to start in 5 minutes. I'm so glad you're here. You see the difference? So you teach them like this. You always pivot like on a dime away from this when a human being is talking to you. And this could be your spouse coming home, your kids coming home, anything to teach them the pivot. If I were to give the same seminar, right? And we're talking exactly the same slides, same words, same energy, tone, everything is the same, but I just change one thing. This one thing is crucial, isn't it? Like in about a few minutes, you'd be like, okay, this is really weird. And my friends, say it out. What is the one thing I have changed? Yes, I'm not looking at you. And I'm not even in the same room as you are. So can you imagine if you're in the same room with someone and you're not looking at them, you're not paying attention to them, that communicates volumes. So we have to, one, pivot from our devices, first of all. If you're a mom, you're a dad, and once in a while you're on your phone like this and you're looking down and your child talks to you and you're like, oh yeah, in 5 minutes. Okay, fine. Let me just check this. Okay. That's okay. But if time after time after time, day after day, your child comes to you and you're like, no kidding. That's funny. Oh, look at, okay, wait, let me get back to this person. Let me finish this text. If they see that over and over and over again on a regular basis, day in and day out, guess what message they're getting? They're getting, that's more important than me. So the radical approach is be willing to ask your children, hey, is mommy, is daddy, am I on the phone too much? And then really listen to what they're saying. I want to introduce you to the 5 A+ skills that Dr. Chapman and I developed in our Screen Kids book, but I need to tell you that this is just a quick introduction, that we don't have time to get into that, but you can continue on to learn more about this for yourself, for your groups in the book, and also in a masterclass I'm going to tell you about at the end of this. But the 5 A+ skills are affection. Can your child give and receive love? Appreciation. Is my child a grateful child? Anger management. Does my child get angry at the right things? Or are they angry about the wrong things? Like basically they're throwing a fit all the time because they don't get their way. Apology. Does my child know how to take responsibility and apologize in real life? And attention. Can my child take their wandering attention and pay attention when they're reading a book, listening to a sermon, listening to a teacher? Imagine, if you will, if you had a little boy named Danny at your church and he came to your church and he looked at his Sunday school teacher and he was like, I really like coming here. Thank you so much for preparing and being so awesome. And I really like you. And they'd write a letter of appreciation. And whenever Danny got mad, he'd tell the teacher, you know what? I'm so mad because that guy, he took my paper and he tore it. Like he was able to say what he was mad about and not freak out and just kind of talk about it. And then if he did something wrong, he could apologize. He could say to the kid next to him, I am so sorry. I just got really angry and I took that from you and that was wrong and I should give it back and here it is. And this guy, Danny, he sat and paid attention in your class and just sat there listening to every word. I mean, would this child be a little radical? Right? Would this be like a standout child? Would this be like, wow, I love this kid, Danny. This is an amazing. Yes, of course. Because so many kids today don't know how to be thankful, don't know how to express affection, don't know how to apologize, don't know how to sit and pay attention without any kind of reward except for the reward of paying attention. And so in order to get this today, it's funny, ask a teacher. 20 years ago, there were a lot of Dannys. don't you think? In the classroom, there were a lot of Dannies walking around our church that could act this way. It was kind of what was expected of children. So what happened? What happened? But I have a book called Parents Rising, and that happened. We haven't been rising up as parents. But another thing that happened is that we have this technology that teaches our kids all the opposites of these things. And so in order to get a radical child that stands out, that knows these A+ skills, who knows how to connect to God, who knows how to connect to other people, we've got to be kind of radical in the way we deal with our screens. And so what we have found to work so well in our family, we have 2 high schoolers and a middle schooler. What we found is to delay devices. Delay devices. Our 12th grader also does not have a phone, does not have video games, does not have social media. Let him tell you what it's like.
I don't have a TikTok or an Instagram or whatever kids are on. And honestly, it's interesting. Like, I have friends or people that I meet, they'll ask me if I have Instagram or things like that, and then I'll tell them I don't, and they'll be like, honestly, good for you. Because they're just wasting so much of their time. And they see that, right? They're sucked into this. They're wasting all their time on something that really doesn't add a lot of value, but they can't get out.
So my friends, it has been such a joy to be with you. You are the light. You and your home are the light to the other families of your church. You are an influence for the families, the children, and we are fighting for this next generation. And the screen time, it's so tempting, just like this candy. And we've got to teach parents that we've got to put this away more often so they have a chance at being more healthy. So again, I invite you, watch the Screen Kids film in their own words. You can get that at happyhomeuniversity.com. There's also the Screen Kids Masterclass for a deeper dive. It has been my joy to be with you. We've got to do things differently because the average isn't working for children today in terms of screen time. But there is hope that as we delay these devices, we can raise a generation of kids who have these A+ skills, more Dannies in the world.